Hello, my name is Daniel, and welcome to my guide on knockout durations, spotting distances, and hearing distances in Metal Gear Solid 5. I've noticed that a lot of people don't know how long certain CQC moves knock out enemies, or how far away they have to be in order to avoid being spotted or heard by the enemy. This results in an alert phase, and as any Metal Gear Solid player knows, this is something you'll want to avoid at all times. If you want to skip to a certain part of this guide, I've provided a full table of contents in the description down below. Or you can click one of the annotations you currently see on the screen. Please note that this guide applies to the hard difficulty of the game, so knockout durations, spotting distances, and hearing distances are naturally going to be longer with a normal difficulty setting. Playing Ground Zeroes is a great way to get accustomed to how enemy behavior is going to work in Metal Gear Solid 5 and how to handle them from situation to situation. That is why I decided to make this video. Knowing these things right away when you start to play a game makes it more fun and less frustrating for you to screw up, because at least you'll be aware of what you did wrong and not blame the game for your mistakes. So let's get started. Knockout durations. Knowing the exact knockout durations is very useful to prevent being caught with your pants down after remaining in an area after knocking out several enemies. Please note, however, that if you stray more than 100 meters away from a knocked out enemy, the knockout countdown will freeze and he will never wake up until you return to within 100 meters of him, unless he's found by an enemy patrol. Throwing an empty magazine at an enemy's head in that split second between noticing you and raising the alarm will knock him out for 30 seconds. Doing this will also destroy security cameras. Note that you can also pull off this move without using reflex mode on both enemies and cameras. However, this is extremely difficult to pull off and requires expert timing, though when you actually do pull it off, it looks really cool. Throwing an enemy will knock him out for 50 seconds in all 4 variations of the throw. There are 4 different versions of the throw depending on if you approach the enemy from the back, front, left, or right side. To perform a throw, you simply move the left control stick towards the enemy and then tap the CQC button. Grabbing and throwing an enemy will knock him out for 50 seconds in both variations. You can throw an enemy in this way by first grabbing him and then letting go of the CQC button, quickly pushing either forwards or backwards on the left control stick, followed by quickly tapping the CQC button. A Uragan 5 pistol will knock out an enemy for 1 minute and 40 seconds. A Tranquilizer gun will knock out an enemy for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Pushing an enemy into a wall or a large object from a grab will knock him out for 4 minutes. However, the knockout time is only 50 seconds if the enemy didn't hit the wall directly, but rather fell in front of it. To perform this move, you have to move the enemy near a wall or a large object and then push the left control stick towards the wall and then tap the CQC button. Pushing an enemy into a wall or a large object without grabbing him first will knock him out for 4 minutes as well. In this variation of the wall throw, the knockout time is still 4 minutes even if he just falls in front of the wall instead of hitting it directly. To perform this move, the enemy has to stand in front of a wall or a large object while you push the left control stick towards him and then tap the CQC button. Pushing an enemy into another enemy will knock them both out for 4 minutes. Please note that this move cannot be performed unless they are both standing in front of a wall or a large object. Attempting this while they're standing out in the open will result in a simple throw. Performing a Fireman carry throw into another enemy will knock out the enemy who was hit for 4 minutes. A cover takedown will knock out an enemy for 4 minutes. A corner takedown will also knock out an enemy for 4 minutes. Choking an enemy will also knock him out for 4 minutes. And kicking an enemy while he's down will knock him out for 4 minutes as well. Performing a strike combo will knock out an enemy for 30 minutes in both variations. There are 2 different versions of the combo strike depending on if you approach the enemy from the back or from the front. To perform this move, you have to stand next to an enemy without touching the left control stick while tapping the CQC button repeatedly. Performing a strike combo into a wall will also knock out the enemy for 30 minutes. Throwing an enemy off an elevated area knocks him out for 30 minutes. And finally, the tower throw will knock out an enemy for 30 minutes as well. To perform this move, you have to be on a ladder with an enemy standing above you and simply tap the CQC button. Extra info. A Uragan 5 pistol will knock out an enemy for 1 minute and 40 seconds if shot within a 30-meter range. Beyond that, the times are 31 meters, 1 minute and 35 seconds. 32 meters, 1 minute and 30 seconds. 33 meters, 1 minute and 20 seconds. 34 meters, 1 minute and 5 seconds. 35 meters, 55 seconds. 36 meters, 45 seconds. 37 meters, 40 seconds. 38 meters, 35 seconds. 39 meters, 30 seconds. And 40 meters, 30 seconds. Beyond 40 meters, the knockout time is always 30 seconds. 2 minutes will be added to the knockout time for each additional time you shoot the enemy. The knockout time stacks until you run out of ammo. Performing a fireman carry throw either on the ground, into a wall, or into another enemy will knock out the thrown man for a wide variety of durations depending on the way he was knocked out the first time, but it's generally 1 minute extra with a few exceptions. The exact times are as follows. Tranquilizer gun, 50 seconds in all 3 variations. Throwing an empty magazine, 1 minute and 30 seconds in all 3 variations. A simple throw, grabbing and then throwing, 1 minute and 50 seconds in all 3 variations. Eurogun 5 pistol, 2 minutes and 40 seconds in all 3 variations. 1 minute and 30 seconds if the enemy is shot from 40 meters or more. Shooting the enemy more than once will add 2 minutes to the knockout time per shot in all 3 variations. Thrown into a wall from a grab. If the enemy hits the wall directly, then the knockout duration is 5 minutes for all 3 variations. However, it's only 1 minute and 50 seconds if the enemy didn't hit the wall directly, but rather fell in front of it. This applies to all 3 variations as well. An enemy who was pushed into a wall, pushed into another enemy, an enemy who had an enemy thrown at him, cover and corner takedown, choked and kicked will all be knocked out for 5 minutes in all 3 variations. An enemy who was knocked out by a strike combo, thrown off an elevated area, or a tower throw will all be knocked out for 30 minutes in all 3 variations. Pressing the aim button in the middle of a strike combo will disarm the enemy and result in a hold-up. A held-up enemy will remain that way until a combat alert is sounded or he is discovered by another enemy. Walking in front of him without a weapon drawn will eventually cause him to pull out a pistol and sound a combat alert. However, you can prevent this by simply pointing your gun at him again. You can also mess with him as much as you want while he's in this state. A tranquilizer shot to the head will knock out an enemy immediately. However, shooting him anywhere below the neck will result in a knockout delay. Note that it doesn't matter if you shoot him in the arm, chest, or leg, the knockout delay will be the same no matter what as long as you don't shoot him in the head. Shooting him once below the neck will knock him out in 30 seconds. 2 hits will knock him out in 10 seconds. 3 hits will knock him out in 2 seconds. And 4 hits will knock him out immediately. If you trank an enemy again while he's still tranked, the results can be unreliable. If you shoot him in the head, then he will be knocked out for 2 minutes and 30 seconds from when you shot him the second time. Shooting him several times in the head will not result in a longer knockout time than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It will only reset it. However, if you shoot him in the torso after the initial trank shot, you'll knock him out for an additional 40 seconds. But if you shoot him twice in the torso while he's tranked, then the knockout time will reset back to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Results may vary. If an enemy is thrown from a tower, a high elevated area, or into the Heartless Sea, he will die, but it will not result in a kill in your stats at the end of the mission. Similarly, if an enemy bleeds out from being shot too many times or from being CQC'd 20 times, he will die, but it will also not result in a kill in your stats at the end of the mission. An enemy will never wake up while being carried by Snake. When you pick up an enemy, the knockout duration countdown will simply stop and it will resume immediately when you put the enemy back down again. This also applies to knocked out enemies put in a passenger seat of vehicles. Finally, environment has no effect on knockout duration. A person who is knocked out indoors or outside in clear weather will be out for exactly as long as someone who was knocked out in the rain. Spotting distances. Knowing what distance an enemy will spot you from is extremely useful for when you're trying to sneak around enemies without taking them out. Knowing the different distances an enemy can spot you from will help you to avoid a lot of frustrating screw-ups. Please note that if an enemy is in an alert status, the viewing distance will be larger than normal. Also, having a flashlight on your gun during the night makes no difference. The game also states that while carrying enemy soldiers, it could help you to deceive other enemies, lowering your chances of being detected. But I noticed no difference in spotting distances while doing this. At night, an enemy will spot you at 40 meters even if you're running or walking. However, if you're stealth walking, he will start to notice you at 40 meters and spot you at 25. If you're crouch walking, the enemy will start to notice you at 40 meters and spot you at 25. If you're crawling, the enemy will start to notice you at 25 meters and spot you at 10. However, if he has a flashlight pointed at you, he will spot you at 18 meters. The same goes for rolling. He will start to notice you at 25, spot you at 10, or at 18 if he has a flashlight pointed at you. During the day, the enemy will spot you at 70 meters if you're running. If you're walking, the enemy will start to notice you at 70 meters and spot you at 45, but if you're stealth walking, he'll spot you at 30 meters. If you're crouch walking, the enemy will start to notice you at 70 meters and spot you at 30. If you're crawling, the enemy will start to notice you at 30 meters and spot you at 15. The same goes for rolling. He will start to notice you at 30 and spot you at 15. Hearing distances. Knowing how far away you have to be in order for an enemy not to hear you is very useful for when you want to sneak past enemies unseen. Making noise within an enemy's earshot can sometimes end very badly. Please note that outside in clear weather and inside are one and the same when it comes to enemy hearing distances. And because of that, I only used the outside for the demonstration in this video. In clear weather, crawling has no limit and the enemy will never hear you no matter how close you get to him. Crouch walking has a 5 meter range. But stealth crouching has no limit, just the same as crawling. Walking has a 10 meter range, while stealth walking has no limit. Running has a 15 meter range. A thrown magazine has a 15 meter range as well. This is worth knowing if you want to distract an enemy as far away as you possibly can by throwing an empty magazine. Knocking over objects on the ground has a 15 meter range. Making an enemy call his friends has a 30 meter range.
Somebody, get over here!
In rainy weather, the distances are a bit smaller. Crawling, of course, still has no limit as usual, but crouch walking also has no limit in rainy weather. Normal walking has a limit of 5 meters, and of course, stealth walking still has no limit. Running has a 15 meter range in the rain, same as in clear weather and inside. A thrown magazine has a 15 meter range. Knocking over objects on the ground has a 15 meter range. And making an enemy call his friends also still has a 30 meter range.
Somebody get over here!
And that's it. I truly hope this guide helped you, and please subscribe for future videos, and probably a follow-up video to this one for when Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out, since there will be plenty of other gameplay elements in place that will affect several of the things discussed in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you someplace else.